on whether he is an insurrectionist.
No.
They did not rule on whether he helped lead an insurrection and promote an insurrection. Those are two very separate questions. I agree with this. I think it needs to be up to the voters. I think it was opening up a Pandora's box. And one of the things that John Roberts said earlier was, you know, how do we know that this is not that then elections don't end up being decided by just a few states? But the last point I want to make, something that's really troubling me, though. Look, we have spent days in the last few weeks watching Fani Willis be on a witness stand and going through the fact that she was having an affair with a guy she hired to prosecute this case. It's a conflict of interest case. It bothers me tremendously that we have now had this case where Clarence Thomas has sat there, and we have another case, the immunity case, where Clarence Thomas apparently plans to sit there, despite the fact that, in my view, and I think in a lot of Americans' view, he has a conflict of interest, because if Fani Willis sleeping with that guy you think was a conflict of interest, what do you think of Clarence Thomas being married to a woman who was actually trying to overturn the elections? And that is something that continues to be unaddressed. And I must say this, both Clarence and Jenny Thomas have denied any wrongdoing.
Well, listen, I think it was the right decision, not a welcome one. It sometimes can be the right thing precedentially, but also maybe you worry about it for the country. But the justices were always going to look at what could this mean 10, 20 years down the road. And to Anna's point, there was also a Missouri Secretary of State, a Republican Secretary of State, who threatened to keep Biden off the ballot under the same decision. So it does open a bit of a slippery slope. But I think the takeaway from today is this. The only place to beat Donald Trump is at the ballot box. And the way to do that, yes, you have to litigate his unfitness, his anti-constitutional stances, but we also have to pay attention to the issues that the voters who are still with him care about. I think that I'm curious to hear what Joe Biden says in the state.
Smartest judge in America, all over CNN, hanging out with Liz Cheney and the J6 committee. Here's what he said. This is his reaction to the Colorado decision in Colorado, not to SCOTUS. This is a trip down memory lane. Let's see what he sounded like.
Having me on this evening, it's always a pleasure. The Colorado Supreme Court's decision yesterday was judicial masterpiece of constitutional interpretation of Section 3 of the 14th Amendment.
Right.
The opinion and the decision are unassailable and irrefutable. I did not have the opportunity to see the former Attorney General on your show earlier. Based on that segment that I just heard, the former Attorney General is categorically incorrect to the extent that he was commenting on the legal sufficiency of the Colorado Supreme Court's decision. It was in every single respect.
Yes.
Not only under state law, but more importantly, under federal constitutional law.
Really?
An impeccable decision.
Wow.
As I said, irrefutable.
Wow, impeccable and irrefutable. Oops! So I wonder if CNN's going to come back and play that clip for him and ask him to give us some clarity on what that means. Now, there were a bunch of other losers who all jumped in on that, and there was this wild bandwagon of these people. Julie Kelly says, you know, pour one out for the long list of these self-important former officials who worked in the last 6 Republican administrations. Remember all these guys? And Ludwig actually had a whole thread on this. They submitted an amicus brief that we did not read here because it's so stupid and because they were so wrong. But look at this. This was what they were saying here. Okay, Lawrence Tribe, he says, Lawrence, this is a Harvard law professor.
Looking at what is happening, the Supreme Court passed the law for Colorado for Trump to have the ballot. It has not been favorable to many people. We could see Judge Lutin who thinks that is not fair, that is not sensible, and he didn't approve with that, and he went ahead and he wasn't very approval of that, and we have many people who did not foresee that, and to them they did not make a fair judge. The Supreme Court is not fair about that. Now we can see that there have been some, looking at what is happening also, people are still talking about like what is happening with Fani, and that Fani Willis, who is the attorney, the DA for the what happened in January 6. She was the main lawyer for the what happened with President Donald Trump in January 6, and she was at the forerunner. What we see is that Fani have been asking a lot of people have been asking a lot of questions we could see that there's a Fanny case is a case of self-interest and Fanny self-conflict. Fanny and the boyfriend, Fanny hired the boyfriend for the case, and the boyfriend is don't have a lot of experience, and Fanny paid him $600,000, which she paid the other person who have more experience, more than the boyfriend. And they went ahead and talked about Fanny's friend came and stood and was against Fanny, that the relationship has started a long time and she has seen the kissing. They talk about Fanny also. Fanny's father came and stood by support of Fanny, and she said that as a black person, most likely most people keep their money at home because outside there is not secured. Sometimes you have money even to take it, you're being suspected. She gave an example of Fanny's mother and himself when Fanny was 6 years old and they had on a journey. During that journey, he needed to buy something in the gas station. But when he went there, they refused to take his card. He has 3 cards. Somehow they think that he has stolen the card because, according to him, they will not believe that a black man can drive that type of car and a black man can have such money with him. So he said that luckily he had cash with him, so that's what survived him. So he was being able to pay whatever bill they asked with that cash. He was being able to pay whatever money they asked him with the cash that he had on him. And he went ahead and paid, and he said the first gift he gave Fanny was a safe in Fanny's house. So he always advised the daughter that you have to save at least 60% of your money in the saving, because you don't know anything can happen at any time. So basically, yeah, that's because they were asked now, where did Fanny take that type of money? Because Fanny made a speech that a woman is not a slave. A woman is just a friend to a man. So she will not be relying on a man, just be like a tool for a man to use her anyhow. So she has always paid her bill. The only man that have never paid or her bill is her father. But every other man have been able to pay. We could see that Nathan I'm not even completely divorced with the wife, according to what they are saying. So the case, they call that conflict of interest. Then we could see that his case is very different because they say he's Clarence Thomas. Looking at Clarence Thomas, they say Clarence Thomas' case is different. So Clarence Thomas' case is safe of conflict of interest when he got married to the wife Jeannie, but nobody has said anything about. So they asked, now why are they concerned about Fanny? If they have not been able to jail Clarence and Jeannie, why would they jail Fanny? Why would they discipline Fanny without disciplining Florence James? What do you really think? Do you think Florence James is guilty? Or do you think Fanny is guilty? Or do you think the Supreme Court is right for giving such a decision out? Let me see your own let me hear your own suggestion in the comment section. Thank you very much for watching. If you have not subscribed, please help subscribe and help share the video. God bless you.